Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. So, today we are diving headfirst into a really fascinating, honestly kind of urgent topic. AI is your assistant, not your brain, a wake-up call for students. There is a ton to unpack here, so let's just get right into it, shall we? All right, so we all know education and learning have fundamentally shifted with the explosion of artificial intelligence. It's an unbelievably powerful tool, right? But it comes with a massive, massive caveat. I really want you to let this thought sink in for a second. The assignment is submitted, but the mind remains untrained. Wow. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? It perfectly captures the absolute core warning of the source material we're looking at today. Because, education isn't just some factory for producing correct answers or taking off boxes to grab a piece of paper. It's a process. It's literally about developing your judgment, your curiosity, your discipline, and building the confidence to wrestle with truly difficult questions. If we just use AI to bypass all that effort, well, we might graduate with the certificates, sure, but we're going to entirely miss out on the intellectual strength those certificates are actually supposed to represent. Look, we have all been there. It's 11:59, the deadline is literally screaming at you, and you just desperately need a breakthrough. Let's be completely honest here. AI in those high-pressure moments, it feels like an absolute miracle. I mean, with just a few quick prompts, boom, it can explain incredibly dense, confusing topics, it can summarize articles that would take you hours to read, suggest brilliant essay outlines, or even solve crazy complex math problems. And our source material acknowledges this right up front. AI is a fantastic, incredibly helpful learning partner when you use it properly. It widens access to knowledge, makes learning super flexible. So the danger isn't that students are using AI, not at all. The danger is that students are relying on it so heavily that they actually stop thinking deeply for themselves. So this brings us to an absolutely crucial point. How do we frame this technology in our minds? We really need a complete paradigm shift here. The source provides this brilliant analogy that I love. It says we have to treat AI like a calculator for thinking support, not a substitute brain. Just think about a traditional calculator for a second. It helps you with complex computation, sure, but it absolutely cannot teach you mathematical understanding if you never learn the foundational principles first, right? If you don't know why you're multiplying or dividing, the calculator is just spitting out a totally meaningless number. In the exact same way, AI can clarify those confusing topics for you, but it cannot replace the essential discipline of reading, questioning, analyzing, and revising. If you bypass that human effort, you completely bypass the learning. Basically, we're standing at an intellectual crossroads right now. On one side, you've got the path of human agency, intellectual growth, and genuine illumination. And on the other, a digital superhighway that looks incredibly fast and flashy, but is really just the machine replacement path, leading straight to a void of personal understanding. International education guidance is strongly emphasizing this right now. AI needs to be used in a human-centered way. And what does that mean? It means protecting your human agency. When you just ask an AI to write your assignments or generate your arguments or, summarize a book you haven't even cracked open, you are taking that machine path. You get the task done, sure, but you completely miss out on the growth. So to really understand the stakes here, the source material methodically breaks down what it calls the unseen intellectual costs. They call them the 5 hidden dangers of over-reliance on AI. And listen, these aren't just minor hiccups. These are escalating, serious threats to your intellectual development. We're talking about weakening your critical thinking, encouraging academic dishonesty, producing confident but totally wrong answers, reducing your originality, and ultimately creating severe intellectual laziness. Let's unpack each of these so you know exactly what to watch out for. Okay, danger number 1, becoming passive consumers of information. Now, critical thinking doesn't just happen magically, right? It grows when you actively compare ideas, when you evaluate the evidence, test assumptions, and form your own independent judgments. But if you just throw a prompt at an AI and blindly accept whatever answer it spits out without questioning it, those cognitive muscles instantly start to atrophy. In fact, research and teaching guidance are increasingly warning that this kind of over-reliance radically reduces deep reasoning. It encourages really superficial analysis. Basically, you stop being a thinker and you start being a mere consumer. Moving on to danger number 2, and this is a big one, the academic dishonesty trap. We need to be crystal clear here because there is a massive, sharp difference between using AI to genuinely understand a confusing topic and using AI to pretend that someone else's work, or in this case, a machine's work, is your own. When students submit AI-generated work without disclosing it, they aren't just taking a shortcut. They're risking plagiarism, severe academic misconduct, and literally the complete loss of their credibility. But even beyond the fear of getting caught or punished, the source reminds us of something deeper. Academic integrity is ultimately about honesty, responsibility, fairness, and having a fundamental respect for learning itself. Which brings us directly to a quote that I really think you need to permanently etch into your memory. Fluency is not the same as truth. This perfectly highlights our third danger. You see, AI systems are incredibly good at sounding smart. They generate highly fluent, perfectly grammatical, super convincing responses, but they very often just invent facts. No, seriously, AI systems have literally invented historical events out of thin air just to please the user. They misunderstand the nuance of your questions, they omit vital context, sometimes they just feed you completely outdated information. So a student who just copies AI output without verifying it, they're going to unknowingly submit completely inaccurate work. The smarter, human-centered approach, you always verify AI responses with your textbooks, your lecture notes, scholarly sources, and trusted references. All right, danger number 4 focuses on what actually happens to your personal identity as a learner. And the result? Polished but completely lifeless work. Just think about it. Every single one of you has a totally unique way of seeing the world. The act of writing, debating, researching, and really struggling through problem solving, that is exactly how you discover your personal voice. If AI does too much of the heavy lifting, your assignments might have absolutely perfect grammar and sound totally correct, but they won't carry your own insight. They'll lack your lived experience, your struggle, your unique creativity. The whole goal of education is to help you become a vibrant, independent thinker, not just a copy editor for machine-generated content. And that leads us seamlessly right into danger number 5, the habit of avoiding difficulty. Listen, learning is sometimes difficult precisely because growth is difficult. The sheer mental effort it takes to read a dense chapter, or attempt a really frustrating math problem, draft an essay from scratch, defend a complex argument, that struggle is the actual training. When you outsource that effort to AI too often, you silently, almost invisibly, develop a habit of just avoiding difficulty. And over time, that intellectual laziness weakens your confidence, your patience, your resilience, and your fundamental ability to solve problems independently when a machine isn't sitting right there to help you. So how does this actually play out in real life? Well, it's usually a slippery slope of seemingly harmless habits. AI misuse isn't always some dramatic, intentional scheme to cheat. It usually starts super small. For example, a harmless habit: asking AI to summarize every single textbook chapter so you don't have to read it. The hidden consequence? Extremely shallow understanding. Or what about using AI to generate a reflection on a personal experience? I mean, sure, it sounds polished, but the consequence is a total lack of honesty and authenticity. Or even just asking AI for an immediate answer before you even attempt the problem yourself. The consequence there? The entire learning opportunity is instantly, completely lost. And here's the thing, those small habits, they snowball into severe, real-world academic crashes. When the shortcut becomes your standard way of operating, the consequences get very real very fast. We're talking about copying AI-generated references, because yes, as we mentioned, AI will frequently invent books, authors, and journal links that simply do not exist in the real world. If you use those without checking, your academic credibility is instantly destroyed. We're also talking about relying on AI during exams, which obviously defeats the entire purpose of testing and just results in failing grades. And let's not forget the massive risk of sharing private or sensitive information. Uploading your personal data, your classmates' work, or confidential school records into AI tools creates immense privacy and security risks. Which brings us to the ultimate question, and I want you to really truly ask yourself this right now. If AI is doing the thinking, who is getting the education? If the machine is the one analyzing the text, structuring the argument, and solving the equation, you are essentially paying tuition in time, energy, and money to train a server farm, while your own mind remains exactly where it started. Reclaiming your education means reclaiming your right to struggle, to think, and to actually grow. So, here is the final warning we can take away from all this. If AI does the thinking, it silently replaces your education. You have an incredible, world-changing tool at your fingertips right now, one that can elevate your capabilities to heights we couldn't have even imagined a decade ago. But you must fiercely protect your own brain. At the end of the day, the choice is entirely yours. Are you training a machine, or are you training your mind?
Like, share, and subscribe to Master Sense by Faraday, and turn on notifications so you don't miss new and upcoming videos. Drop a comment below and tell us what you'd like to see next.
Welcome to the quiz section, Fastest Finger Edition.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are tackling a seriously massive topic, AI and the modern learner. We are diving into exactly how students and teachers can use artificial intelligence to actually enhance real learning, rather than just, replacing it. Because it's not about running away from technology, it's about mastering it so that it serves your mind, rather than just doing all the thinking for you. Okay, let's jump right into this by completely flipping our mindset upside down. The trap so many of us fall into is asking, can AI do this for me? And honestly, that is fundamentally the wrong question. We need to replace it with the right one, which is, how can AI help me learn this better? That subtle shift, it absolutely changes the game. You go from using AI to escape doing the hard work, to using it to grasp concepts on a much, much deeper level. And that brings us to the core of what a truly wise approach looks like. Students absolutely do not need to run for the hills or pretend AI doesn't exist. Instead, you've got to approach it with discipline, honesty, and a genuine desire to be challenged. It's about staying actively engaged. Keep your pens and paper right there next to the screen and make sure you're still doing the cognitive heavy lifting yourself. So, how exactly do you divide up that heavy lifting? Well, a brilliant way to think about it is the 70-30 rule. You want to make sure that at least 70% of the actual problem solving, the brainstorming, and the initial drafting comes directly from your own head. Then you can bring in AI for that remaining 30%. Use it to support you, like explaining a tricky concept, giving you feedback, or helping polish up the final edit. To keep that critical 70-30 balance in check, you have to establish some pretty firm boundaries. Think of it like building a brand new set of study habits. First rule of thumb, always try the assignment or the reading yourself before you even open an AI tab. Try first, ask AI second. You also really want to ensure you're writing your own first draft so your authentic, original thinking is out there on the page. And hey, if you do ask AI to explain a really complex topic, close the tab entirely and then force yourself to rewrite that explanation in your own words. That proves you actually grasped the idea. The crucial takeaway here is to use AI to actively challenge your thinking. Seriously, treat it like a sparring partner, not an answer key. You can literally ask AI to point out the weaknesses in an argument you just drafted. Ask it to generate practice questions, counter-arguments, or study prompts just to test yourself. And here's a totally game-changing tip. Keep a personal learning journal. Just jot down what you genuinely understood after using the AI, what still confuses you, and what facts you realized you still need to double-check. And that habit of actively testing yourself builds directly into a vital verification process. Because let's be real, AI should never, ever replace academic databases or actual human conversation. Step 1, always verify important claims, stats, or quotes with reliable academic sources. Step 2, cross-reference whatever the AI spits out with your textbooks and lecture notes. Make sure it actually aligns with what your class is covering. And Step 3, discuss these concepts with your teachers, mentors, or classmates. They can challenge your assumptions in nuanced ways that a machine literally just cannot do. Now, let's shift gears for a second, because this isn't all just on the students. Educators play a massive role here too. A teacher's goal shouldn't be to frighten students away from tech, but to guide them toward using it well. The overarching mantra for educators should be incredibly simple. Use AI as a teaching aid, not a silent ghostwriter. Embracing that mantra requires a major shift in the teacher's role, moving away from policing the classroom and stepping into the role of a mentor. It all starts with setting crystal clear, completely transparent rules on exactly when AI is allowed and when it's off limits. Teachers also need to design assignments that force deep personal thinking. We're talking oral presentations, handwritten reflections, or using highly local examples that an AI just can't generate effectively. And above all, we have to discuss academic integrity openly, explain the practical difference between getting a little learning support and just downright dishonest substitution. A super effective tactic for educators to implement right now is requiring students to show their entire process. It's not just about turning in a final essay at midnight anymore. First, have them submit their outlines. Next, hand in those messy early drafts, source notes, calculations, or research logs. And finally, submit the completed work. Doing it this way proves exactly how the student arrived at their final submission, and it keeps them completely accountable for their own intellectual journey. But here's the thing, teachers can't just mandate these rules, they have to actively model them. Show your students live, in-class examples of how to meticulously fact-check an AI response and hunt for those sneaky, obvious errors. And crucially, this is so important. Educators must safeguard student privacy. We have to ensure absolutely no one is pasting sensitive school records or personal data into these open AI systems without proper safeguards in place. Okay, if you remember just one thing from this entire explainer, make it this analogy right here. A good student uses AI the way a good athlete uses training equipment. The equipment can support your performance, sure, but it absolutely cannot replace discipline, practice, stamina, and skill. Just like weights in a gym aren't going to magically lift themselves to build your muscles, AI cannot replace your own mental stamina, your effort, your curiosity, or your character. Because ultimately, we have to think beyond AI. The future will absolutely reward those who know how to work alongside artificial intelligence, no doubt about it. But employers, universities, and society at large are going to place a much, much higher premium on those who can think beyond the machine. We need people who can ask better questions, make sound, reasoned decisions, and bring true human wisdom to unfamiliar, complex problems. It all boils down to a pretty stark contrast. Blind dependence on AI, that leaves you weaker, confused, and honestly totally unable to defend your own work if someone asks you to explain it. But wise assistance leaves you stronger, more prepared, and fully capable of explaining concepts clearly without needing to have the tool open in front of you. Basically, if you feel dependent on the AI, the balance has been lost. Which brings us to one final provocative question to take away today. In the age of AI, are you going to let the machine be your master or your servant? As you navigate your education, will you let convenience rob you of your competence and let speed replace true understanding? Or will you ensure your own disciplined, questioning, creative, and honest mind remains firmly in the lead? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this empowers you to take charge of your own learning in this incredible technological age.
Welcome to the quiz section, Fastest Finger Edition.
Like, share, and subscribe to Master Sense by Faraday, and turn on notifications so you don't miss new and upcoming videos. Drop a comment below and tell us what you'd like to see next.